Today I would like to talk about a topic that I often discuss with my students in the lessons, and recently it has also been brought up by one of my viewers, Katka. So thank you, Katka, for inspiring this video. How do we express a possession or a relation in Czech? For instance, my mom's car. In English, you simply put the apostrophe, an S, or you could also say the car of my mom. In Czech, you can do exactly the same, except it's a little bit more complex than that. So let's take a look at it. Jdeme na to. Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. So how do we say my mom's car? We are going to use the word maminka and then auto. How do we combine them? You can already see that we have three options, and I don't want to influence you, but I don't like one of those options. One way is to say maminčino auto. Maminčino auto. Maminčino auto. Maminka transformed into maminčino. This is a bit complicated. I actually made a video about this. It's called Czech Possessive Names in Real Life. I recommend you watching it because that's where I discuss how to make this specific form. You're gonna see it here too, but I'm not going to look into this in detail. This option, maminčino auto, is a proper way of saying mom's car. It corresponds to the structure in English, mom's, maminčino. It is widely used, but some people prefer something else. And although I like it and I use this form, I do not encourage my students to learn it, not at the beginning, because you have to think too much. You have to think, who is the subject? Is it a man or a woman? And what's the thing that we relate to, that we possess? Is it a masculine, feminine, and neuter? And then imagine, on top of that, we have the cases. This also could be in a different case. So there are three different factors that you have to think about. But it's all among us. The streets use this form, the parks, some cities, bridges, Karlův most. So I tell my students it's always good to know about it, at least passively, knowing that this means mom's car, maminčino. But you don't have to torture yourself and learn how to make it. If you live in the Czech Republic, with time you might pick it up yourself. So what is it that we can say without making too much effort? You could also say auto maminky, which would actually mean the car of my mom or of mom. Auto maminky. And this is a friendlier form because you have to deal with maminka, making it into the genitive case, maminka, maminky. And that's not so bad, right? Auto maminky, the car of my mom. And then there is a third option, which is looking very similar. People say maminky auto, which is like a combination of these two. First, we put the person who's the owner, but we use it in the genitive form like this. And then we use the thing that we possess or the person we relate to. Auto. Maminky auto. You can guess that I don't like this form, but don't get influenced by me. I just want to share my opinion. Maminky auto, for me, doesn't sound right. Auto maminky is okay, and nobody will get offended because more people like me share the same opinion. This is used by a younger generation. And to me, it sounds like kind of a lazy way of using the language. I am not used to it. I don't like it. But you can use it if you want. If you don't want to offend anyone and you don't want to work too hard, you can use this option. The car of my mom. Maminčino auto is the perfect, proper Czech, but this form takes a bit of effort. What happens with the name Martin, man's name? For instance, we want to say Martin's boss. If we use the masculine form, šéf, the proper Czech possessive would be Martinův šéf. Martinův šéf. Martin's boss. You might recognize this ending from names such as Karlův most, Charles Bridge. But you could also use the simple genitive and say the boss of Martin, which is totally fine, and say šéf Martina. And I don't want to deprive you from the richness of the Czech language. I still want to show you the third variation, which is also used, although I don't like it. I'm gonna keep saying I don't like it. Martina šéf. All clear? Here's one more advantage of this form. You will need this form when you refer to someone with more than one name. So for example, if you want to mention Martin and his last name, you could not use this form. For example, you want to say Professor Kyselka's student. His last name is Kyselka. So you would say student pana, we would add pana profesora Kyselky. Pana profesora Kyselky, all these three are in the genitive case, and you cannot use it here. You cannot cram all those forms here. This is good only when you have one word. Let's look at examples with three different genders. First, all referring to a man called Tomáš. And we're gonna talk about his dog, his daughter, and his car. We make a reference to something masculine, something feminine, and neuter. The easy and generally acceptable form is, like I said, the noun and then of whom it is. So the dog of Tomáš. Pes Tomáše, the genitive form, pes Tomáše. Or you switch the order and say Tomáše pes, which is informal, and some people don't like it. Or you can use the proper Czech Tomášův pes. Tomášův pes with the possessive genitive. Tomášův pes, just like Karlův most. Dcera Tomáše. Tomáš's daughter, or the daughter of Tomáš. Or Tomáše dcera. It's so clear, I'm not even gonna write that one down. Or Tomášova dcera. Tomášova dcera. Tomáš's daughter. And a car can be auto Tomáše. Auto Tomáše. Tomáše auto. Or Tomášovo auto. Tomáš's car. You see how easy this one is. If you have a friend named Tomáš, you remember that the genitive form is Tomáše. And then anything that belongs to him, whether it's ten, ta, to, it will always be Tomáše. Pes Tomáše, dcera Tomáše, auto Tomáše. If you use the proper Czech, which is richer, you have to change the endings. So Tomášův pes, Tomášova dcera, Tomášovo auto. And these also have cases. This is just a nominative case. So it is up to you what you want to use. But if you're a beginner, I suggest that you take a look at these forms only. Now we're going to use the same words, but the owner will be different. We're going to refer to a woman with the name Eva. Our first option would be the dog of Eva. Pes Evi, the dog of Eva. Or Evi pes. Now, a very difficult job for you. How do you say the daughter of Eva? Dcera Evy? Yes, that's correct. Dcera Evy. What about the car of Eva? Auto Evy. Auto Evy. The daughter of Eva. The car of Eva. Or Evy dcera, Evy auto. Now, let's try to make the proper form using the possessive. There would be Evin pes. Evin pes. Dcera would be Evina. We simply add a. Evina dcera. Evina dcera. And then here is Evino. Evino auto. Evin pes. Evina dcera. Evino auto. Eva's dog, Eva's daughter, Eva's car. Let me give you one more option that you can sometimes hear in informal Czech. When we speak about relations, that someone is a friend of someone else or a daughter, instead of saying dcera Evy, people also commonly say dcera od Evy. Literally, the daughter from Eva. So Eva's friend, kamarádka od Evy. Grandmother of Eva or from Eva. Babička od Evy. This is informal and people use it quite a lot. Enough of theory, let's get to work. Soon I will display an exercise here for you, but first I want to demonstrate what it is that I want you to do. For example, there will be a sentence like this. Je tady Evina kamarádka. Eva's friend is here. Je tady Evina kamarádka. The sentences will have these proper forms, these more complex forms. And your task will be to use the easier and generally acceptable form. You will say kamarádka Evy, the friend of Eva. So you will change Eva's friend to the friend of Eva. There are 8 sentences that you need to change and also translate. I want you to think about what it is that the sentences are saying. And I hope you won't have a problem identifying the names. But if you do, you can also look underneath. You will see all the names or nouns that you have to work with in the nominative form. Pause the video and let's check it right now. Číslo 1. Přišla Kamilina sestra. This means Camilla's sister came. We work with the name Camilla and we will say the sister of Camilla. Přišla sestra Kamily. Many people would say přišla sestra od Kamily. Číslo 2. Odkud je tátův kolega? This means where's dad's colleague from? Notice that kolega is masculine. We say tátův kolega. A colleague woman would be kolegyně. So we're going to say odkud je kolega táty. The colleague of dad. Číslo 3. Půjčila jsem si tetino kolo. Půjčila jsem si means I borrowed. I borrowed my aunt's bicycle. And we will change it to půjčila jsem si kolo tety. Kolo tety. Here it's also okay to say půjčila jsem si kolo od tety. You're saying I borrowed it from my aunt. Číslo 4. Našla jsem maminčinu náušnici. Here is the cases that I was telling you about. Maminčina náušnice is the nominative case. And then maminčinu náušnici is the accusative case. So we will say našla jsem. I found my mom's earring. Náušnici. Našla jsem náušnici maminky. Našla jsem náušnici maminky. Číslo 5. To je Pepovo pití. This is Peppa's drink. To je pití Pepy. Pití Pepy. Číslo 6. Četla si Kunderův román? Have you read Kundera's novel? I suppose that most of you know Milan Kundera, a Czech writer. Četla si román Kundery. Commonly also said román od Kundery. Here we mean that it was by him, written by Kundera. Číslo 7. Proč máš Teresčin deník? Why do you have Tereska's diary? Proč máš deník Teresky? Tereska, Teresky. A číslo 8. Často jezdil na dědečkově motorce. Different case again. Dědeček is grandpa. He often rode his grandpa's motorbike. Často jezdil na motorce dědečka. To je všechno. I'm curious to hear what you think about this topic. Which form do you prefer? If you want to know more about the possessive genitive and how to use it in real life, watch my video from 3 years ago, I think. And I'll see you next week. Uvidíme se příští týden. Ciao.